Hey YouTube, so it's Friday. I ended up having to take the day off of work today because last night after I left the storage, I went over to McDonald's, was sitting in the drive-thru, and the car was just dumping smoke, smelled like burnt oil. So I'm pretty sure that pretty sure one of the valve seals or maybe a couple of the valve seals have come off. I haven't torn anything down yet. I went by the machine shop, and he's got the other set of heads are all cleaned up. Man, they look brand new. They look great. The stainless valves are all cleaned up. Everything looks great. So, but he said he hasn't got a chance to grind the valves or do the valve seats or any of that yet. And so what I told him is just to go ahead and, like he said, he's gonna get everything done tomorrow. And so he's going to come in tomorrow even though they're closed, and he's going to get it done tomorrow. So hopefully I can go pick them up tomorrow after he gets them done. And yeah, so today I'm just going to start pulling everything apart and get everything taken apart, so everything is already apart. And then if I can get the heads off, then I can just take these heads up there, which I'm going to have to get a ride because I won't be able to drive this if it's apart with no heads on it. But I figured I can go ahead and pull it all apart. I have all the gaskets I need inside to redo the intercooler gaskets and the lower intake gaskets and all that. So I'm just going to start working on her, and I'm going to try to leave the intercooler hooked up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but yeah, it really sucks. So but yeah, that's the goal. And then yeah, I was just sitting here, and for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 days I've been driving, and yeah, it'll, like, as long as I'm driving I have nice heat, but then if I stop at a light it'll start to kind of cool off. So I went ahead and pulled the radiator cap. It was pretty low on coolant, so I brought the pressure tester, and now my drain plug isn't leaking, but it was leaking up here at this upper radiator hose. And so yeah, so I need to get that addressed. So I figured if I'm gonna have to pull this apart and everything, I might as well just start pulling everything apart and drain the intercooler system, and yeah, just kind of go from there. So but yeah, so I need to get some tools out of the shed, get the jack this thing up, and start getting all this top end taken apart and pulled off of here. So I was planning on going back over to the storage and continue working on the Grand Dam and bleeding that clutch, but that's not going to happen. So this is the new weekend project. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update once I get some of this stuff pulled apart. Alright, well, at least one good thing is I was able to adjust the clamp. I loosened it up, moved it down some towards the radiator, and twisted it a little bit, like reclocked it, and was able to use this long extension with the 8, and was able to get that down in there and get her tightened up like that. And so I got it as tight as I can get it, and she's been sitting holding 30 psi of pressure for a couple minutes now. It hasn't dropped any, so I think that fixed my coolant leak. So that's why I've been dripping out of the radiator support. You can even kind of see it where it came out, and it's been running down the radiator. And then if you look down there, it just runs all the way down right into the radiator support. So that's where my coolant leak's been coming from. I guess the drain plug just happened to have a pretty bad O-ring on it. But yeah, so I'm happy about that. It's holding good pressure. So at least I know the radiator's good. So don't have to worry about the radiator. So I've got most of my tools out. I still gotta grab the jack and a couple other toolboxes out of the shed. And I need to get this thing jacked up and on jack stands. And disconnect the battery and then start going to town. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update once I get everything out of the shed and I got it jacked up. Alright y'all, so I just got the dog bone mounts off. Just got the coil pack bracket and the supercharger belt tensioner off. And now I've just loosened all of the valve cover bolts. So I want to see how these valve seals look under this valve cover. Everything looks good in the valve cover. See if we can get some light in there. Oh, that one definitely come off. That one's still seated. Hard to tell. But yeah, that one's seated. That one's come off. That one's come off. So it's like all the exhaust valves seals came off. So that's why she's burning oil. So definitely the head's got to come back off. That really sucks. But it is what it is. So I guess I'm gonna have to disconnect everything. The exhaust manifold's got to come off. The dipstick's got to come out. Supercharger, everything's got to come off, which all that needed to come off anyways. But yeah, that's confirmation right there. That's all 3 exhaust valves on the front head have came off. So that's for sure, all 3 of them on the front head. I guess I'm gonna keep tearing this thing apart, and I'll give you guys another update once I make it to the rear and get that rear valve cover off. Alright y'all, so I've got the supercharger off. It's over here. The upper gasket didn't look too bad. It was like this on the bottom. But it's definitely soaked through some. It's all oil. Just oil everywhere. And then this is the bottom one. Definitely just oil everywhere. Just oil everywhere. Like I said, that's my luck. But other than just, there is a little mark there, and on the other side, I don't remember. I might have did that, but I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, you can just see all the oil on the bottom. So she's definitely been spitting. So that could have happened before I put the breather on. I'm not for sure. But she's still holding coolant. So I'm definitely happy about that it's holding coolant. But yeah, it still kind of sucks. So I'm going to keep tearing her down. I just want to give you guys an update and show y'all that I got the supercharger off and show y'all what I found with the intercooler gaskets, the Garlocks. Which, I mean, really, I guess they're not that bad. But yeah, there's coolant everywhere right there. So that's probably exactly where my coolant leak was coming from, over in that bottom corner. It's probably right there. But it's alright. Shit happens. So I'm going to keep working on her and get these fuel logs off and the injectors, and got to get the main belt off and pull that alternator off. And then pretty sure the alternator bracket has to come off so I can get the rear valve cover. And keep getting this thing torn apart. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so made a little more progress. I'm about to get this alternator and the bracket removed. I've got the radiator all drained into the bucket. And yeah, so now I've got to get this belt off and get the alternator and everything off. I've got all the cables disconnected from it. It's unplugged. Everything's disconnected there. So just got to remove the belt and unbolt it, and it'll come off. And then I can pull off the lower intake manifold. And then I'll be able to pull both the valve covers and start unbolting the heads. Well, actually, I'll probably do the exhaust manifolds first and then pull the valve covers and start pulling head stud nuts. But I will probably, once I get this off, I will probably pull the rear valve cover just to check out the valve seals before I start completely tearing them all apart. But they're both going to come off. I'm going to redo both of them. So I'm going to keep working, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, y'all, so I got the rear valve cover off. So it looks like the first valve seal is okay. The second one, oh, that one's off. That one come up. That is my exhaust. So the cylinder 4 intake looks fine. Cylinder 4 exhaust valve. Man, I can't tell. Actually, kind of looks like it's fine. One exhaust valve looks fine. And then that intake valve looks like it's seated.
It just doesn't make any sense for them to pop off of there like that. Unless maybe they're NA seals.
It's hard to tell.
They weren't pressed down hard.
Nope. That cylinder 6 exhaust valve is up. Cylinder 6 intake valve is seated.
So it's just the exhaust.
So it's all the exhaust valves except for cylinder 4. It looks like cylinder 4 is seated. I can't really tell. I know it looks seated to me. The intake valve looks seated, but definitely cylinder 2 and cylinder 6 and all 3, cylinder 1, 3, and 5 exhaust valves. Yeah, no, somehow cylinder 4's exhaust valve is seated. So 5 out of 6 exhaust valves have came off. So that is how my Friday is going. But hopefully the machine shop will have my other set of heads done tomorrow, and I can go pick them up. And if I have to, I will just swap the valve springs around myself and you just use the new retainers. And
so we're gonna talk about the 06?
Yeah. So the 06 I sold to Garrett, and the night he drove it home, or no, it drove fine on the way home.
Drove for like 4 days.
Oh, for like 4 days. Then it started misfiring and running like shit, so I gave him a set of spark plugs. He changed 5 of them because he can't get the cylinder 6. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so he got all 6 of them swapped. But he said it was running great, and it ran great for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then it started misfiring and running like shit again. So he ran the codes. It had like 13 or 15 codes.
God.
And both the O2 sensors, cylinder 2 misfire, cylinder 2 injector circuit malfunction or some shit. The evap, I don't know, he sent me like some screenshots of everything, but yeah, so the 06, it's not running, and like he had to drive his mom's car just to come over here. But he's ordered all 6 remanufactured injectors, 2 new O2 sensors, and what else you order?
Spark plugs.
Yeah, and 6
NGK.
NGK platinum. So hopefully getting all that stuff swapped around. Plus, I gave him a fuel pump assembly with the brand new pump that came out of this TRQ pump. So we've got to drop the tank, and we're going to swap that charcoal canister off the tank that I accidentally drilled the holes into, which is the whole reason why I had to buy another fuel pump assembly, because I broke mine swapping the tank. But that charcoal canister on that tank was good. It was just leaking. So we're going to get that dropped, swap the charcoal canister, swap the fuel pump assembly. So we'll have a new fuel pump, new spark plugs. Like, yeah, everything should be good to go after all that. And we'll see how she does. So I'm going to keep working on this. I got to, I guess, tear this front valve cover back off and get this lower intake manifold removed and get the heads undone and get the exhaust unbolted, and I've got a ways to go. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I've got the lower intake manifold off. It's chilling over there with the rest of the parts in the pile. So now I've got to work on getting the exhaust manifolds off and all disconnected, and which means I'm gonna have to pull the crossover pipe, pull the front one, and then the rear one I'll just unbolt from the head, and I'll just leave it connected to the down pipe. And then I gotta pull all, well, I guess I can leave the rockers, and when I undo all the head bolt or head stud nuts, then the rockers will stay bolted down. But yeah, I'm gonna start working on getting the exhaust off, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so the front head is off, so I'm not seeing any major damage. I see a couple nicks, a couple in that piston, a couple in that one, and a couple in that one. But I don't see any chips. There's definitely some marks on that. That one's hit something. Alright, well, hopefully it ain't too bad. I did have one of the studs actually came out when I was pulling the nuts off. So I'm going to have to reinstall that one. It's right here. Get some fresh thread tape, clean that hole out. So I'm gonna have to clean up the whole gasket area again. So, but still steady making progress. So I'm gonna get this rear exhaust manifold unbolted from the engine. I've gotta get the bottom crossover pipe bolt out, and then the crossover pipe will be disconnected. And yeah, I'll get this exhaust disconnected from the head and get that head out. We'll get it out of the way and get all these push rods out of the way, and yeah, I'll give you guys another update once I get this rear head off. Alright, y'all, so been working on her, got both heads off. Went ahead and spun the engine over by hand with my big 24 and my extender ratchet, and cylinders don't look bad. All the pistons seem to look great. None of them are horrible. None of them look chipped. So everything's still working properly. So let's take a look at the heads. We've looked at the front head already. We've seen that all the exhaust valve seals are unseated. All the valves look pretty good. So here's the rear head. Look, exhaust valve, intake. See, this one, the exhaust valve is still seated along with the intake, but bam. So 5 out of 6 cylinders, the exhaust valves came in seated. Look at all this oil leaking. That is horrible. So no wonder it was burning oil. But that's part of the game sometimes. So now I've got to get these kind of cleaned up so I can take them up to the machine shop tomorrow. And hopefully he can get all those valves grinded, and I know I might end up just pulling all these valve springs off and retainers and just taking them those. But I really want him to see that all of these are pulled up on both heads. Like, I want him to see that because he did these heads, and I don't know, I at least want him to at least put another set on there and throw my 90-pound springs on those heads. Something for my trouble, since I had to tear the whole damn engine back apart. But that's how it is with race cars. It just sucks that it's my daily. But hopefully I'll get her all back together this weekend and have her back together running and driving by Monday, which I think I'm off work Monday, so at least by Tuesday. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for right now. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, y'all, so it's about 9:30. I took a razor blade and scraped off as much of the head gasket material as I could get off. And now I'm using the air with the blower and blowing everything out, cleaning out the coolant passages. Just trying to get everything nice and cleaned up as best I can without wire wheeling, because I don't want to make a huge mess of shit inside the oil galley. But yeah, making some good progress. I'm still waiting for David to get back with the brake clean so I can get these cleaned up and just kind of spray them down real quick. And I want to spray down some of, in the cylinders, and I need to drain the oil. So still got a little bit of stuff I got to do. I'm just kind of one thing at a time. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the heads sprayed down with brake clean and just wiped them down, trying to just clean them up and get all the oil and crap out of it, so that way I can load them up in the car and take them up there to the machine shop tomorrow, so that way he can pull all these valve springs off and he can install these valve springs on to the new heads with all the new valve seals. And yeah, hopefully we're good and everything should be good to go. So I'm gonna, I guess, keep working, trying to get all this stuff picked up, and I've got to figure out something. I need to get a piece of cardboard or something to put all the push rods in and label them so I know the order that they're supposed to go in. These are the fronts, these are the rears, exactly how they come off the engine. And then these are the front head studs and washers and nuts, and the rear head studs and washers and nuts. I've already got all the old RTV and gunk and crap off of them and wiped them all down. So now I just gotta clean up the nuts and the washers. And yeah, and then I just gotta get everything all picked up and kind of organize everything into the shed overnight, so that way nothing's left out. I need to clean up the bottom of the supercharger. I need to clean up the lower intake manifold. So there's still some stuff I can do. But yeah, it's like 10 o'clock, just after 10 o'clock. So I still got some time. It's like 50 something degrees, so it's not super cold. It's a little chilly, but not horrible. Yeah, that was already one whole can of brake clean, spraying down those heads. He got me 4 cans because they were on sale, so I got 3 cans left. And yeah, I just got to finish getting all the stuff picked up and keep working on this thing. So, and I need to get a piece of cardboard or something to set down over all this so I can take the intercooler and set it on it, and nothing will poke. I don't want to damage the core any more than I already have with my couple of spots and what's on the bottom side. So yeah, I definitely don't want to damage it, so I need to set something on there so it won't damage this, and probably throw a piece of plastic over it or something and call her good for the night. So y'all stay tuned. and I'll give you guys another update before I call it a night. Alright, you guys, so it's 10:30. I've got all the front head studs wrapped in thread tape, and so I've got all the front ones just hand threaded in there. They still got to be ran down with the Allen wrench. And then I've still got to grab the rear ones from over there and get those all thread taped and get those stuck back in place. And then just run them all down, and that's probably all I'm going to be doing on this tonight. The heads are over there. They're pretty cleaned up. And yeah, so next thing after this, I got to just get all this stuff picked up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these other head studs for the rear, get those taped and set in there, find me some cardboard for the intercooler to sit on, and I'm probably going to close down the hood and start getting all this other stuff picked up and organized. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I got all 16 of the head studs thread taped and tightened all the way down. I ran them down with the impact and then snugged them down with the Allen key. It's right up there. And so all of them are seated all the way down. So now it'll be ready for the Cometic multi-layer steel head gaskets. And I'm going to have to grab some copper spray tomorrow, or at least just whenever, sometime before I get the heads from the machine shop, so that way I can copper spray them, get them on, and then get the new heads on and get everything torqued. So I gotta find a piece of cardboard or something I can set over this and then set the intercooler on. And I don't know, I might just set the supercharger on top of the intercooler and just set it in there for overnight, so it's one less thing I have to have in the shed. But yeah, so I'm going to find some cardboard and get all this all shut down and locked up, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the intercooler just set down, pretty much sitting on the bridges, and then just set the supercharger on top of it. And so that's pretty much everything. Still got a couple, got the two nuts for my coolant tank, my fuel rail nuts, and the one bolt for the lower intake manifold. And yeah, so I can shut this down. There we go. Yeah. And so I got all my tools in there, a bunch of parts in the back, and then a bunch of everything else loaded in the trunk. And I just got the heads, so I need to put those in the shed for tonight. And then the lower intake manifold, I sprayed it down with brake clean and sprayed it out. Cleaned it up pretty good. I still need to wire wheel it. You can see that gasket transferred. So I still need to clean it up a little bit more, but turned out pretty good. I need to use a razor blade and scrape off this old RTV. I don't know, I'm thinking about really pulling these off though. I don't know, I might reuse them, I might not. But yeah, so I think that's going to be it for tonight, you guys. So, and stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow and then let you know what I find out from the machine shop. Guys, so I'm at the machine shop. Look at the heads. Ooh, he's doing the valves. Look at these things. Look brand new. Super stoked. So I brought the old heads. He's gonna get these springs, get them on here. We'll be good to go. Alright, here we go. Look at these buttes.
This other's blocked off those ports with a piece of shingle. Yeah.
Looks amazing. Love it. Oh, there's the other one.
Oh, that's what I say, Mitsubishi.
Looking great. Stoked. Alright. Time to get these home. Get them on the car. Start putting it back together. Alright, YouTube. So, just got home from picking up the heads from the machine shop. So, they're looking nice. Very lovely. So, now I just gotta have to borrow my mom's car and run up and get some copper spray so I can get those head gaskets copper sprayed, and then I can get the heads on and get those bolted down and torqued down, and then it's just building it back up from there. So I guess I'm gonna get some tools out of the shed and get some parts out of the car and get this hood popped and start getting her put back together, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, so I got the head sitting over here. I've got the red paint. I've got my masking tape. Got my head gaskets are all cleaned up. Head studs are cleaned up. Surfaces are cleaned up. So all I gotta do is copper spray the gaskets and get the heads on and get them torqued down, and the heads will be on and we can start getting her back together. Got the lower intake there. Got the intercooler. Got the supercharger. Got all the gaskets in the back seat. So she's going back together today, fellas. Alright, y'all, so I just got back from AutoZone, or no, from Advanced Auto Parts. And so I got some Mobil 1 10W30 oil, Mobil 1 filter, got some concentrate coolant, some copper spray, and I already had this. This is what David got me last night. Yeah, so went and got my copper spray, so now I can get the gaskets sprayed on both sides, get them on there. But before I do that, I want to mask off these heads and go ahead and I guess I'm going to paint them because I really don't want them to be all rusty. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and paint them, and so I need to get these masked up, get them painted red, and then once they dry, then I can go ahead and get them set on the engine. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so heads have been masked off. This one has had its second coat of paint, and this one I just gave it its first coat, so it needs to dry for 10 minutes or so, and then I'll give it a second coat, and then I'll probably end up giving both of them 3 coats, and then I'll let them sit for 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'll start gasket spraying the head gaskets and getting them on there, and I'll start getting everything put back together. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update once I have the heads completely done and I'm about to unmask them. Alright, y'all, so I've got the first head unmasked. It's not perfect up here, but like I said, you won't see it. And I got my first gasket all copper sprayed on both sides. So now I'm about to get this head set on here, and I've got the rear power log sitting back there, and I wire wheeled both of the exhaust flange mating surfaces and the manifold to head mating surface. So tried to get all the crap cleaned up off of it, all the oil. So I'm gonna get this head set down on here and start getting her bolted down and torqued down, and then give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so it's 5 o'clock on the dot, and just got the rear head on, and I've just got all the bolts ran down. They're not torqued yet. I'm about to torque them at 30 foot-pounds. That's the first run, and then once I get the first run at 30 done, then I'll go ahead and get this gasket copper sprayed, get the other head unmasked, and get it all set on here, and do the same thing, and I'll get it torqued down to 30. And then once I get the front head torqued down to 30, I'll torque both of them to 60, and then both of them to 85. And that's how I did the first round with those heads, and everything's been smooth except for those valve seals coming off, and couple vacuum leaks, and I did have a little leak right down here, those coolant O-rings on the lower intake manifold. where it was leaking out of these and this with the supercharger, Garlock supercharger gaskets. So hopefully I'm gonna RTV all that stuff this time, and hopefully we have no leaks. So I'm gonna keep working on this and get this front head on here, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, I just threw the last coat of paint on the front head. I just copper sprayed the gasket. So now I can go throw this on the engine block, and then I'm going to give this a couple more minutes to dry, and then I'll pull all the tape off. I need to pull these two studs off of this front head, and then I'm going to use this non-painted bracket for the dog bone mount. So I need to get these two studs off of here, and those can go on that head. And I've already got the rear head torqued down, just to 30 foot-pounds, but it's first round for the rear head is done. So now I just got to get the first round for the front head all done and situated, and then I can get both heads fully torqued down, and shit, we'll be good to start getting her all back together. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I've got both heads are on, both head gaskets are copper sprayed, everything is on. They're both torqued down to 30 foot-pounds. They both have the 155-pound springs and the brand new LS modified retainers. So everything's looking great. I'm super stoked. So I'm gonna keep working on her, and I gotta get all the push rods in, and yeah, she's coming along. So also, don't forget, when you're doing, if you're ever doing head gaskets, make sure you point the arrow toward the pulleys. It always goes towards the front of the engine. So it's like that on the back, on the rear gasket as well. So just make sure you face them the right way, so that way you know that the all your push rods are going to line up properly with your lifters. Because some of these gaskets, I don't know about the MLS gaskets, but some of the graphite style gaskets, like what I just had on it with the old heads, some of them don't have that, but some of them, their squares are kind of off-centered a little bit. And so if you put them on backwards or upside down, then your push rods aren't going to line up properly. So just something I wanted to share with you guys. But yeah, I'm going to keep working on her and get both of these torqued down to 60 and then up it to 85 and make sure everything's good and torqued. Don't forget, you need to lube all these between the nut and the washers, so that way you can get a good accurate torque. So I just dipped the washers in oil before I stuck the washers on there, so everything should be nice and lubed. So I'm going to go ahead and get these torqued down and give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so both heads are torqued down to 85 foot-pounds. Torqued down beautifully. You can see the oil running down the paint. Oh, it kind of sucks, but that's what happens. But man, they are on there. Everything's nice and torqued. So now I can start getting the exhaust manifolds bolted back on, get the crossover pipe back on, get all my push rods back in, get the rockers on, and start getting her put back together. So I'm going to keep working on her, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright y'all, so both heads are torqued down, got all the rockers in place. They're all torqued down and Loctited with blue Loctite this time. Hopefully it holds. The red Loctite did great. It was hard just to get the rocker bolts out of the rockers, but I got them all out, got all the rockers cleaned up, used the brand new reusable rocker bolts, got those in, Loctited, torqued down, got the valve covers back on. So now I just got to hook up the rear exhaust manifold, get it bolted to the rear header, get the front exhaust manifold on the front, or head, not header, the front head and the rear head, and then I can get the crossover pipe on. And I still got to get the lower intake manifold cleaned up on this bottom side. Still have to get these old exhaust manifold, lower intake manifold bolts or gaskets off of here and get this all cleaned up, all this old RTV. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get this thing done. I'm losing my mind over here. But I've got all brand new gaskets in here in the back seat. So there's my 2 new Garlock gaskets. Here's my new lower intake manifold gaskets. So I've got these. I've got the RTV. There's all my lower intake manifold bolts right there. So yeah, it's coming along. It's getting there, making some good progress. So I'm gonna keep working on these. I've got to get this lower intake manifold all cleaned up and all that old gasket material and gaskets off and get everything looking nice and fresh so I can slap those new gaskets in here. I'm going to RTV across the bridge and then put my bridge gaskets, and then whenever I do the corners, then I'll RTV across again just to be double sure that we're not going to have any leaks out of this engine. So that's how she's going right now. So I'm going to keep working on her, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly once I make some more progress. Alright, so I've got the lower intake manifold gaskets are on. I've RTV'd under the bridge on both sides, and I've RTV'd the lower intake gaskets to both of the heads. So before I put the lower intake manifold on, I'm going to go around all where all this green gasket and the black gasket are on the lower intake gaskets. I'll put more RTV and across the bridge and in my corners, and then I'll set the lower intake manifold on, so everything will be completely RTV to absolutely guarantee and ensure no leaks. And yeah, so that's the goal, that's the plan. So I'm gonna keep working on her, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I just got the lower intake manifold all wire wheeled and cleaned up. Wiped it down. I know there's like some pitting, but that's just how it's been. Haven't had any issues with it leaking. So now I've got to get all the RTV on the gaskets and across the bridge in the corners, and then I can set this down into place. And then I've also got to get all my lower intake manifold bolts are in here. I've got to wire wheel all of these first, and then that way I can put a dab of RTV on all these. And then once I set this down, I can go ahead and start bolting them in and get it bolted down and get them all torqued down, and we should be good. The motor's going back together. So I did take some fresh oil and just dumped in there just to kind of rinse any gunk that might have fallen in there down into the pan, because I have to drain the oil anyways. I'm doing a fresh oil change with All Mobile One, so it's all good now. Yeah, I'm gonna start RTVing all of this and then get this set down into place, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, so I've got all the gaskets RTV'd, got the lower intake manifold set in place, got all the lower intake manifold bolts wire wheeled and cleaned up, got all the old RTV off, and put some of the fresh oil resistant. So everything's on there. Now I just got to torque all these down. I've just ran them in with the impact. But yeah, so once I get all these lower intake manifold bolts torqued down, then we're good to go. We're golden. Then I can go ahead and get this intercooler set on there. And actually I'll probably do the rear exhaust manifold first. That way I'm not hitting this with anything. But yeah, so I'm going to keep working on her, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, so I've RTV'd around where the supercharger is going to sit, and like all around where the intercooler, so it'll seal everything around the intercooler on all of these passages. So I've got everything RTV'd on the lower intake side, and then put the gasket down, and then RTV'd everything again. So she should be nice and sealed up. So I'm going to go ahead and get the intercooler set on there, and then I got to do the same thing with the upper gasket, and then I can get the supercharger set on top and get all the bolts in, get it bolted back down, get her torqued down. And yeah, we're making some huge progress. So I'm gonna finish getting this thing together and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I got the supercharger set back in place, RTV'd both sides of both gaskets around everything. So she should be nice and sealed up. I got all the supercharger bolts torqued down to 50 foot-pounds. So she's on there nice and tight. So now I've got the fuel rails and the injectors. So I'm about to start getting those reinstalled. So I'm not dropping anything down into the combustion chambers. And I still got to get the rear exhaust manifold bolted on. And the front, or I guess power logs. But yeah, I mean, it's coming along, making good progress. And then my dumbass, I forgot to put the rear harness back over. So now I'm going to have to unplug the O2 and the speed sensor and the NOx sensor and the oil pressure sensor. So that way I can pull the harness up here and snake it back how it's supposed to go. But it is what it is. That was my fault. David was over here and my buddy Eric Drake he called and I was talking to him, and yeah, it happens, but at least it's an easy fix. I just got to unplug a few sensors and stuff and plug them back in. Not that big of a deal. So but yeah, I just want to show you guys I'm steady making progress. It's like 9:30, so I'm gonna keep working on it and give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the front exhaust, well, the front power log is on. I copper sprayed both of the gaskets, so I've got the other one sitting up there drying. And so I'm about to get this rear power log bolted up into place, and then I've got to wire wheel up this gasket. I'm going to copper spray the shit out of this gasket to try to help seal it up. I wish I had just a flat style gasket. I might be able to make one, but I don't know how well this would hold up, this make a gasket stuff. I don't think that's really gonna work. But I don't know, I'm gonna figure out something. And yeah, I'm either gonna wire wheel that and copper spray that gasket and slip between there, or I don't know, I might just like RTV it and maybe that will help seal it up. But yeah, I'm going all out this time. So I'm gonna get this this rear power log bolted up into place and get the exhaust connected. I still got to unplug my rear O2 sensor and the speed sensor so I can get my harness out and get it all wrapped back around the rear side. But as you can see, I got the injectors and the fuel rails on the front and the rear. So now nothing can get into the cylinders. I have the front spark plugs in because I already got the manifold on. I'm leaving the 3 rear ones out until after I get the manifold on, so that way I don't hit it and bust the ceramics. But yeah, she's going back together beautifully. If I wouldn't have forgotten to flip the harness up before I put the intercooler and the supercharger on, it'd be golden. But me, I was talking and wasn't paying attention and got in a rush. So, well, not really a rush. I was trying to do other things and I wasn't 100% concentrated on what I was doing. Again, there it goes, me being distracted, make mistakes, but it's okay. I'm working on it, so I'm gonna keep making some more progress, and I give you guys another update here shortly. All right, y'all, it's about 12:10 or so. It's just after midnight. Happy New Year's. So I've got my front manifold is bolted down. The crossover pipe is on, rear manifold is on, down pipe is bolted up. Got all my exhaust gaskets copper sprayed, even the one from the rear manifold to the down pipe. I think I'm gonna end up having to get a different gasket though, because that one's the factory, and this like this whole setup from ZZP it's like set up for just a flat gasket, not the one with that ring in it. So I'm thinking that's why I'm having this exhaust leak. But other than that, all the other studs and everything are all nice and tight. So we shouldn't have any exhaust leaks from anything else. But I even copper sprayed the donut gasket that goes in the back of the crossover pipe to the rear power log down there. So everything is been copper sprayed, and everything's going pretty smoothly. So I got all this back here disconnected except for my downstream O2 sensor. So I got to jack the car up and get under there to unplug that, and then I can pull my whole harness through underneath the intercooler hoses, and then I'll be able to reroute the harness and put it back over and back behind and plug all that stuff back in. But it's okay, small price to pay for my fuck up. Instead of having to pull the whole supercharger and intercooler back off and mess up all that RTV, I just leave it and just reroute the harness. It's not that bad. So, but I'm steady making progress. It didn't get to start it up by New Year's, but that's okay. She'll start New Year's day after New Year's. So probably here in about another hour or so, I should have this all put together and be able to give her a test fire. So y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna keep working and give you guys another update here shortly. Hey YouTube. All right, so it's 1:15 in the morning. It's starting to get pretty chilly. I'm gonna have to jack the car up to get that rear O2 plug undone, and it's just starting to get cold. So I decided just to call it a night. I'm just picking everything up. So I just wanted to give you guys an update and let you know that I'm gonna call it a night, and I'll be back out here in the morning to finish the rest of this. I just don't want to dig a bunch of stuff out of the shed right now and then have to pick everything back up. So I've been going at this all day for 14 hours or so, between, you know, getting up this morning, had to take the heads over to the machine shop, had to go run around for a little bit while he was pulling the springs off and swapping everything around, and then come home and then started cleaning everything up. I had to paint the new heads and just get everything done and situated and wire wheel, and it's just been a long day. So I'm gonna call it a night, but I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. So y'all have a good night and a happy New Year's, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey YouTube. So it's the next day. It's Sunday morning. It's like 10 o'clock. I just woke up. I was out here till like almost 3 a.m. But yeah, so I got a lot done yesterday getting her back together. So today I need to get the jack out of the shed and come jack her up and put her on some jack stands so I can unplug the downstream O2 sensor and pull the harness up underneath the intercooler hose, just because I forgot to put it back behind before I put the intercooler and the supercharger back on. Got ahead of myself. But so that's the first thing I'm going to do this morning, is pull that wiring back so I can start getting the wiring rerouted how it's supposed to go and getting everything plugged in. And then I still got to bolt the alternator bracket and the alternator on and get the belts on and just hooking everything up. But main thing that's holding me up is that harness, so that's going to be the first thing I do. So I'm going to go put some shoes on and get the shed opened up and get some tools out and start working, and I'll give you guys another update once I have her up in the air. Alright y'all, so I've got the 07 jacked up. So I just need to get up under here. I need to unplug my harness right there and just pull that little piece of harness through, and that way I can pull it up from back down there and stake her all the way back up underneath my hoses going to the intercooler. Now I got to pull everything under so I can put it back around. So once I get that one plug undone, then I'll be able to really start making some more major progress, and then start getting everything plugged in. And then I've got to get my alternator bracket on, which I probably should have put that back on before I put the supercharger on. Wasn't really thinking about that with coolant elbows and all that, but I guess it is what it is. I got ahead of myself. Wasn't thinking clearly, I guess, but it's all good. I'm gonna make it happen. So I'm gonna get this O2 sensor plug undone so I can get this harness out of the way, and then I'll try to get that alt bracket in there and start getting the harness all ran back around correctly the way it's supposed to be, and start getting her all sealed back up and put back together. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. All right, y'all. So I've got the downstream O2 unplugged. I pulled all my harness up, got everything snaked back around over the top and back around the back. I've got all the injectors plugged in, got the main harness to the crank sensor coil pack harness plugged in. These are my alternator wires, and then I've got my main power coming from the batteries right there. That will go with the alternator, and then this power wire from the fuse box will go to the alternator. So now all I gotta do is I gotta plug all my sensors down here back in: the speed sensor, the NOx sensor, the oil pressure, and the downstream O2. And I've got my alternator bracket with the alternator there, so I can get that bolted back on. I need to clean up this spot on the timing cover, this old RTV. I already cleaned out the lower intake before I bolted it back on. Yeah, I need to get that old RTV off of there. I got that black RTV, so I'm gonna use some of that oil resistant, and it should hold. I guess I used all of the blue water gasket RTV whenever I did the intercooler, so I don't have any blue. All I had is the black and mega gray. So I'm gonna use this black because it's already out here, and get the coolant elbows RTV'd and get this alternator bracket bolted back on here and start getting everything hooked back up. And then I'm probably gonna have to pull this wheel off so I can get in there to all those sensors to plug everything back in, and get the O2 plugged in underneath, and hook up some coolant lines and some vacuum lines. And so she's almost ready to fire now. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update once I make some more progress. Alright, you guys, so I've got the alternator bracket is on, got coolant elbows RTV'd, all three bolts are tightened down. I've got my coolant heater hook lines just stuck on there. I haven't tightened down the clamps yet or put this squeeze clamp on. I've got all my plugs down here underneath plugged in. Got my transmission speed sensor, the oil pressure, and the NOx sensor. I just have to put the little green clip back in the NOx sensor plug. And then I've got the O2 sensor right there, and it goes just to right there. Then I have to zip tie it back up to that little heat shield plate since I had to bend it down previously. So yeah, I've just got to do a little bit of work down there underneath, and I can get the wheel bolted back on. And then now it's just hooking up these 3 power cables to the alternator, and then getting coolant. I gotta drain the oil, put a fresh oil, and I want to dump some fresh oil over the rockers. It's kind of too late to pull the rear valve cover back off, but I don't know, maybe I'll just put it back on. But I was thinking about dumping some fresh oil over all this before I put the valve cover back on, and then slapping the coil pack bracket on. And yeah, but shit, made a lot of progress. So we should have first start today on January 1st, 2023. So y'all give me just a little bit, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I got the O2 sensor plugged in and zip tied back up to its little heat shield bracket. So it's in place. Everything down here is all plugged in and in place. Got my heater hoses tightened down, got the clamps back on, all the injectors are plugged in. So now I've just got to hook up my 3 power wires, and then hook up my fuel lines, and just get all that tightened down. And I got to get the belts put back on, and then get the coil pack bracket and coil packs bolted on, and then the dog bones, and get everything hooked back up. And still got to drain the oil and do an oil change. So I'm going to do that while I have it up in the air before I put the wheel back on. And so yeah, we're making lots of progress. So we should have first start here very soon. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright y'all, so I made a little more progress. So far I have got all my plugs plugged in over here. I got the oil drained. I got the filter swapped out. There's the old filter. This is the new one. So she got a fresh filter. Got the wheel bolted back on. Haven't filled it up with oil yet. It's still over there. I got the main belt on. Everything is RTV. My hoses are on. My fuel lines are connected. I need to tighten down both of these fittings. But other than that, everything is plugged in. I got my my valve cover back on. I still need to run my spark plug wires and the heat shields. They're still over there. But my next thing, before I do any spark plug wires, I need to get this this bracket back on here. And so I've got my harness. So your harness runs right there inside that notch in the head. And then your ground wire goes on the stud. And then your harness runs right up here. Like sitting right here on your valve cover. And then that piece goes up there. And then whenever you slide this on, the bracket, it gives you space for that harness to sit there. So that's how it was whenever I took it off of the original engine. And this is how the ground has been, and so that's how it's going back together. I might even use a wire brush and scuff that up right there. I didn't even think about that when I painted it, but to get a good, nice, good ground, I might need to wire brush that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll go ahead and get this bracket on, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I've got the alternator bracket on. I cleaned up that ground, got this on, got all my bolts tight, got my nut on there, got my pulley down here tightened back down, got the tensioner on and tight. So all I got to do is get the supercharger belt on, and then run my plugs and wires, and then fill her up with oil, tighten the two fuel lines, and then connect the battery back there, and should be good to fire. And then I'll have to top her off with coolant and everything. But yeah, we should have a first startup here very, very shortly. So y'all don't go anywhere. I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright y'all, so I've got all the front plug wires are installed. I've got the rear plug wires on the coils. Got my heat shields here. So I just got to get those on and get those down there and plugged in. Get them hooked up on the spark plugs. I got my fuel line fittings tight. I threw some zip ties on these hoses to hold them up off of the belt. Did a little bit differently this time. Put a nice big zip tie up here. And yeah, that one, it's got a little ring terminal on that first zip tie. And then I put a couple more. Zip tied them to this bracket here down at the bottom. So they're zip tied, and it's holding both of those hoses back. So yeah, we shouldn't have any issues with anything rubbing. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm stoked. So now I just got to get the supercharger belt on and get my 3 rear spark plug wires installed, and then hook up the battery, and we should be ready for a first start. So I've got the belt right here. Oh yeah, I still got like the strut bar and this other brace over here, but that's not needed for first startup. So I'm gonna get this belt on and get these spark plug wires on with the heat shields and hook up the battery, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so I think it's time. I've got all my plug wires are on, all my fuel lines are tight, I got both belts on, I've got the bleeder valve cracked, I've been filling her up with coolant. Just added a whole gallon of coolant. Gonna have to add some water. But I think we're ready for our first fire. So I think I'm gonna grab the tripod, throw y'all on the tripod, and grab some keys, and Do first startup. Give me just a second.
Too much stuff on the
Alright,
stairs
you
for you to
guys.
climb.
We'll see how she goes. Make sure we don't have any leaks.
Looks good from over here.
I hear the intercooler running. I don't see no fuel leaks. Alright, let's see if she starts. First crank. Gonna burn off that oil. Oh yeah. Oh, that oil stinks.
I think we're smelling that paint getting warm too. Okay, well that's not bad for a first start. I'm sure it's just burning off a shit ton of oil out of the front and rear manifolds because those old heads were just dumping oil. But man, she sounds good. I was hearing a little bit of noise up top. Calm down.
I don't know.
I think maybe oil just hadn't made it
Yeah.
all the way up yet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But I'm happy with her, so I'm gonna let her cool down for a few, and we'll probably I'm gonna finish filling her up, topping her off, trying to get her bled with it off, and then once she cools down, I'll start her back up and turn the heater on and do a full heat cycle. So y'all stay tuned, and give you guys another update here shortly. All right, y'all. So I'm about to start her back up. I've got the radiator full. Got the bleeder valve closed right now. That extra deep oil filter did suck it down, so it needs probably about another half a quart or so of oil. But I don't have any more fresh oil right now, so I'll have to go get some.
coolant. Not burning anything off the power logs anymore. So like the lifters or the rockers are just a little bit noisy. Sounds good. Starting to get some heat. I'll have to run up and get some more oil. And I'll just get another quart, put another quart in it. Hopefully that'll help quiet down those lifters and rockers. That could even be an exhaust leak on that rear manifold. Because like I said, that gasket is not straight, so... Seems to be running pretty smooth. Full of coolant. There's nothing coming out of the bleeder. See it spitting out now. That noise definitely sounds like it's coming from the rear manifold, the downpipe flange. You can really hear the exhaust leak. Hell yeah. She's bleeding off. Coolant temp staying, it's right at about normal where it normally sits, because it's got a 180 thermostat, so that's about where it's always at. 66 outside, 98 degree trans temp, 73 intake air, 181 water temp. Yeah, see, I'm sitting right at normal. Hasn't thrown any check engine light yet, so that's good. Maybe I finally fixed all the vacuum leaks. That's hot. It's good though, it means everything's working like it should. Oh yeah, she running. There we go. Yeah. Running great. Seems to be running good. Staying at operating temp. Sounding really good though at idle. I just hear some exhaust leaks. That's the only thing that's tripping me out is the exhaust leaks. But it'll get there. I think this is gonna be good. So I'm gonna give this probably like a couple days of just easy driving and cruising. And I don't know, maybe I'll just go on like a 2 or 3 hour cruise tonight. Just go drive around and be easy on her and just kind of get them broken and, you know, let everything just kind of come together and form and just get a nice good heat cycle. And I don't know, I'm really happy. So I've got to thank U-Save Machine Shop. He came in on his day off and got the heads done up for me and gave me a discount because the old ones, all the valve seals come off. So I got to give him a shout out, U-Save Machine Shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's a good guy, so he does really good quality work. And look, I mean, y'all hear it. Listen. It just sounds so good. It just sounds so good. Still no check engine lights. Hell yeah, she's back together in what, 48 hours, torn apart, put back together. Not bad at all. So I don't know, I guess I'm gonna probably turn her off and let her cool down for a little bit, get all my stuff picked up, and then I'll go on a little cruise here in a little bit, and I'll give you guys little driving clips once I'm out on the road cruising. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you another update here shortly. Alright y'all, so it's 8 o'clock. I've got everything picked up. All the tools are put up in the shed. So I've double checked all my fluids. I've got to go get another quart of oil to top off the oil. So I'm going to run up to Quick Trip, top off with gas, get a quart of oil, top off with oil. But everything else is full. Trans fluid is full. Power steering's full. Coolant's full. The chiller box is full for the intercooler system. So everything else is full. So I'm going to run up here to Quick Trip and get some oil real quick. And just wanted to do a startup. Oh shit. Yeah, so here we go. So she's been sitting for an hour and a half or so. Fired right up. Warm up for a minute. I'll give you guys another update once I'm on the road. Alright y'all, so I'm cruising down the highway. I already stopped and got oil, added a quart. It's just above full. So we're cruising, running good temps. Still no check engine lights. just cruising. So everything's doing great so far. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'm just gonna go cruising for a little while, get them nice and broken, and get everything up to temp, and just heat cycle it. And after 2 or 3 heat cycles and everything, if we still have no issues, then maybe I'll get on it. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here after a while. Alright y'all, well it's 9:15. I just made it over here to the storage after driving around for a while. I'm at 183 trans temp. Still sitting right there on the mark. 184 coolant temp. She's running great. I'm actually really happy with how good she's running. Hearing that stupid exhaust leak. The engine sounds nice and quiet and smooth. Alright, so that's her second major heat cycle and first drive with the new heads. So I'm gonna hang out here at the storage for about an hour and a half or so. It closed at 11, so I'm going to mess with the Grand Dam for a little bit. Try to work on getting the clutch bled some more. And, yeah, that'll probably be in a different video. So, I think that's going to be it for this video, you guys. So, like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one. And I'll catch you guys later.